so today we got Hugo and his F-150. We're gonna do a Belltech Performance Handling Kit. We're gonna lower the truck. Hugo, tell us about your truck. What year is it? What have you done to it? How badly are you looking forward to doing the Belltech kit?
So this is my 2018 F-150 2.7 EcoBoost. I've done intake, inlet pipes, along with 4-inch exhaust and a tune. That's about it. Pretty excited about, getting it done, getting it lower.
Sweet, your truck sits pretty high right now, so you're looking forward to getting rid of that wheel gap?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Can't
awesome.
wait.
All right, well, we're gonna get into this Belltech Performance Handling Kit, and stay tuned. All right, Hugo, what's in box number 1?
Let's see, let's find out. So, in this box we have the coilovers.
Oh, sick, those are nice, huh?
Oh yeah, dude, clean.
Oh yeah, adjustable ride height. Look at these guys. Super nice. All right, so a quick little overview of how to change the front strut on the F-150. You're gonna remove this bolt that's holding the brake line and the wheel speed sensor. There's 2 here. Get those out of the way so you don't rip on them. The top of the sway bar end link, so you can drop it down. The upper ball joint nut. The steering link nut. There's 2 nuts on the bottom of the strut, and you're going to want to support it with the jack stand and remove the top 3 nuts to the strut. Remove the top bolt for the brake and the second 10 for the brake line, and we'll take out the 8mm holds on the wheel speed sensor and just pull them out of the way so they don't get yanked on. Put the bolts back in so we don't lose them. We know which one goes where. Yeah, there's a shorter one that goes on the top. We're going to remove the 21 for the steering link with impact. And luckily that comes right out. Sometimes you might have to hit it with a hammer, but it came right out. So now we can move the upright around wherever we need it. So now we're going to take the sway bar end link off. We're using a 18mm ratchet wrench. And if that spins, we have a 5/16 wrench to hold it, to keep it from spinning. All right, so now we're going to remove the upper ball joint. 18 ratchet wrench, same setup we used on the sway bar. Okay, so when you take the top nut off the ball joint, there's going to be some load on the upper arm, so you're going to want to support it with the jack and then jack it up. Take the load off of it, so when you take the nut off, parts don't go flying. Then you see you take it off with your fingers, it's not bound up. And then we can safely lower the jack down and get that out of there. So we're just zip tying this up out of the way so it doesn't fall. Put a load on everything. Make sure you got good zip ties so they don't break. So now we're going to remove the lower nuts using our 18mm socket and our impact. All right, so now we're going to remove the top 3 nuts. This truck has a leveling kit on it, so it sits a little bit higher in the front, which is going to change our measurement from stock when you go to lower it, like the initial measurement we took. But we're using a 18 ratchet wrench. And we have the lower arm supported with the jack. We did that earlier before we took out the nuts off the bottom of the strut and before we disconnected the upper A-arm. So now the Top nuts are out, the bottom nuts are out. We got a little pry bar. We're gonna lower the jack and get this guy out of there. I'm just getting in there with a pry bar and just prying this up. And out she comes. So now we're just gonna remove this leveling kit with a 17, which I think is the factory nut, which is normally there. So we really only did this for the hardware. These nuts don't come in the kit, so you need these. And then the ones that were on top of our wheel spacer or our leveling kit were the wrong ones. We were panicking for a minute, but these are the guys you need. All right, so the front setup will come with an adjuster wrench, some instructions, you can read those, 2 bolts, 2 nuts to bolt it into the truck, and this bitchin' adjustable coilover, adjustable ride height. So cool, so when you put it on the truck, if you don't like the ride height, you want to level it a little bit, you just spin this and adjust it. A lot better than some of the other kits that have a spacer where you have to take the whole thing apart to do it. This, you can leave it installed on the truck and just adjust it. So now we just reverse the process. Reinstalling. Just gotta line up the studs. It's not a perfect bolt circle, so you gotta figure out what's where. Get it in there, get it lined up. There you go, here you go. You get it in there, finger tight at the top. So now we take our bolts in the kit, 2 bolts, 2 nuts, put those in the bottom. Now we're gonna install the upper ball joint, and we're guiding in the sway bar as we go. Everything's just finger tight on everything else. Get the whole truck together, and then we'll come back and tighten everything. Go ahead and put the tie rod end on. Put your sway bar nut back on. Then we'll do all of our brake line, wheel speed sensors. Everything will be finger tight, and we'll come back and tighten it all. Wheel speed sensor. Brake line for the inside. Brackets have little tabs. There's locating pins you got to put them in. So that's that. Now we're just going to go around and tighten everything up. 17mm ratchet wrench. Tighten all 3 nuts. Now we're going to tighten up the upper ball joint with the 18 and 5/16. 18 ratchet wrench. Ratchet wrenches are your friends here. Same tools, tighten up the sway bar end link. So now we're going to tighten up the tie rod end using a 10 and a 21. I don't have a 21 ratchet wrench, and you got to hold it so it doesn't spin. So that's what we're working with. Get the job done though. We're going to go ahead and tighten up these brackets. 10mm socket. Tightening up the other brake line bracket. Same socket, 10 millimeter. Switching to an 8 mil for the wheel speed sensor. So yeah, we're just gonna lower the jack now to get the last bolt. Get it out of the way, give ourselves room to work. So we're just gonna get set up on the rear here, get the rear tires removed, get the truck set up on jack stands, and get ready to support the rear end with jack stands. Then we're gonna unbox everything, read the instructions, go from there. All right, so we got the front taken care of. So now we get our rear setup, the flip kit, 4-inch rear axle flip kit, 4 inches, bro. So you open up a big box, you get 2 shocks for the back, instructions, and a parts box. So just make sure you go ahead and read through here. I'll just run through here real quick. It's just gonna tell you you're gonna need 6 jack stands. We're using 4 because we're doing the back by itself. Wheel chocks, we got that. Metric socket set up to 27. Metric combination wrench up to 27. We got adjustable wrenches, we'll figure that out. C-clamp, power drill, drill bit, set, abrasive cutter, cut-off wheel, grinder, safety glasses, we got all that. So just, they got a good set of instructions with photos. It'll be pretty straightforward. We got everything in here. They just make sure that you check your hardware and make sure you have everything that's listed on the back before you get started. You don't want to tear this apart and then your only vehicle you got to drive, you can't drive, and then how do you go to get a bolt? You gotta wait, you're stranded, you gotta borrow a car, Uber, I don't know. But check your parts list and we're gonna get after it. So we're just gonna lube up these bolts on the top of the leaf spring just to help free them up. So we got our 2 jack stands under there. The truck's on jack stands, wheels are off. We improvise because we just have 1 set here. And we just have a ratchet strap going from the frame just to support the front of the axle from tilting down when we release this thing. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and remove the U-bolts using a 21 millimeter socket and our impact. So we're removing the U-bolts and the brackets on both sides. Got this guy all jacked up and supported. Just pulling this rear lower bolt out. So now we got the back leaf spring stuff taken care of. We're working on the front. Just gonna have to back this off and bang it over enough, and then we're gonna have to cut that bolt out because you can't push it out with the gas tank there. Using our metric crescent wrench as a hammer. Nice work. All right, so we got that one cut. The instructions say to cut both sides, but this truck has an aftermarket exhaust, so we won't have a problem getting that bolt out, so we don't have to deal with that. We only have to do it on one side. All right, so now that's all out. We just got to pull the leaf spring out. Okay, Hugo, we got both leaf springs out of the truck. So we've labeled them left and right, front. We've labeled them left and right, front and backs, so we don't mix them up. Now we're just gonna clamp them together and take these bolts out and flip them around. We're gonna lose the bracket. We don't need the bracket anymore on the top, so we're gonna ditch the bracket and then flip these bolts around one at a time. We got them clamped together so they don't move. Spring away. 19 millimeter, the big impact. Just gonna flip these bolts around, ditch the bracket. Don't use that anymore. Okay, so we flip these, we ditch the bracket, we're just gonna tighten them up. I'm gonna repeat that on both sides. All right, so now we're removing the rear shackle hanger, and you gotta pay attention to which way the bolt goes. You gotta put the bolt back in the same way that you took it out. And we're not gonna tighten the bolt down. You're gonna do that when the truck's on the ground or after it's installed. So just pay attention to how you take it off. Reinstall it the same way. Put your bolt back in the same way, and just tighten it up enough to where you don't have to loosen it, but so you don't spend a bunch of time trying to tighten it. So the shackle still moves on there freely, no problem. That's what you want. Do both sides just like that. So we're just removing the brake line brackets on the axle. Just one on each side. This guy here, one on both sides. All right, so now we're gonna install the front leaf hanger and install the smaller bolt into the lineman dowel pin. All right, so now we're gonna install the big bolt from the outside in. And the big bolt's gonna get torqued to 95 and the small bolt's gonna get torqued to 70. All right, torquing to 70, nice. I'm gonna torque the big bolt to 95. Okay, so now we're gonna install the leaf spring, the front first. We already did the passenger side, so this is the driver's side. All right, so this is definitely a two-man job. You gotta lift this guy up in the back, kind of get it where it needs to go. Get the front end. Now it's just resting on the back. Hugo's got the bolt finger tight. All right, so now on the back, we just gotta flip this guy around. Get it in the hole. Watch your fingers. Maybe need a little hammer. You wanna go up at the rear end a little bit? It's got an alignment punch, a little bit of jiggle. Put the bolt in from the inside out. Oh, it's coming. There we go. A little bit of manipulation. So we're just gonna finger tight this, and these don't get tight till the truck's on the ground. So we got both leaf springs back in underneath the axle with the new shackles. We're on the driver's side now, so we have the lower bracket, the lower saddle bracket, and the two holes. The furthest hole goes towards the front of the truck, and then the shim spacer, the thick part, goes towards the front of the truck. Just line those up, and you line them up with the pins underneath the truck. on the leaf spring. Make sure those are seated good, and then you install the saddle and line that up. Get that lined up with the pins also. Make sure it lines up in the holes of the axle. Watch your brake lines. We install the top plate, make sure it's centered on there. Then this notch goes towards this notch here. Show me that notch. That notch there goes towards the shock, so it clears the bottom of the shock mount. Go ahead and put this all in finger tight. Came with nuts and washers for this, nylocks and washers. So we'll get that all finger tight, and then we'll do the other side. Nearing the finish line here on the flip kit install, we got to pull the old shock out. It's kind of in the way. Then come down to the bottom of the hanger, tighten these guys up, torque them to 100 foot-pounds. Gonna have to cut the excess off of those. Then we'll reinstall the shock, reinstall the brake line. Pull the top shock mount out. We're gonna go ahead and install the new shock, the Street Performance shock. Just putting it in finger tight. We'll come back to that. Cut the studs off and tighten these guys down with the impact. You gotta make sure that this is sitting flush. This is how it should look. This is the front side of the axle, the bigger spacer, and there's no air gap there. Everything's lined up. So we'll come back and torque these to 100 foot-pounds on both sides. Torquing these to 100, we worked our way all the way up from 80 to 90, 95 to 100, just so they get torqued evenly. So now we're at 100. So now we're going to install the brake line bracket. We had to cut the bolt down a little bit because when it goes through the hole, it hits the new bracket that goes inside there, so we trim that guy down. So we'll get that in there, tighten down. Torque on that 17 foot-pounds. We're going to use the Hugo foot-pound wrench. 17 foot-pounds, Hugo.
Copy that.
So now we just have to put the rear shock on. So we'll just have to raise the car up a little bit to get it to line up. Okay, jacking up. It's not gonna hit the bracket, is it?
No, it'll go right behind it.
Yeah, tighten the shock up top and bottom. Got the Street Performance Belltech shocks on the back, just tightening these up. So the last piece of the puzzle here, we got to ditch this big bump stop and install a smaller one. It's a 14mm socket. Just take that out, put the new one in. So we got the new bump stop on. It's a lot shorter. It's using 8mm Allen. So we're gonna put this on a socket and tighten it down once we get it started by hand. And that's the final piece of the puzzle here as far as the flip kit goes. So the only thing that we haven't tightened up is the leaf springs, which you need to do when the truck's sitting on the ground. So Hugo's finishing up the other side. This is what it looks like installed, the actual flip kit. So this is the alignment bolt. That's torqued to 70. This guy's torqued to 95. This guy's loose. This is the front. We got our Street Performance Belltech shock in. We got our flip kit bracket. Brake line hooked back up, new U-bolts, lower bracket. We've got a shim on here to align the pinion angle now that it's lowered. We've got a new bracket on the back also. So these brackets will all get tightened once the truck's on the ground, but that's pretty much the finished product for the flip kit. Okay, we got the front end on, the flip kit's on the back. Everything's all there. We just gotta wait to put the truck on the ground to tighten the leaf springs. Now the last part of this kit is the rear anti-sway bar. So you got a installation guide, a sway bar, and a big old hardware kit. There is another installation instructions in here. I think it's probably the same. It says, reading through the package, it's designed for vehicles with flipped rear suspension. So that's what this is for. A 2016 and up F-150 with a rear flip kit. Let's get this baby going. Get her on the ground. We got our lists and we checked it twice. We got all the parts here, so we're ready to get to installing this. Step one, we gotta lube these bushings up and slide them on the sway bar. We got our lube that was supplied, our grease. Gotta evenly divide it, so that's all we got. I'll do that to both sides, then we'll slide it on. Gotta slide this guy on. It's a split. There we go. Right there, that's good. I'll do the same on the other side. So we cheated. We didn't get a video of this, but basically on the passenger side, you have to drill a hole to get through to get this plate in. It's a weld nut welded onto this plate that slides in the frame here. So you gotta drill a hole there just to get through. There's already a hole on the bottom of the frame, but halfway up in there, it doesn't go all the way through. So you just have to drill that out. We did a pilot hole and then a 1/2 inch because I don't know who has a 1732 drill bit laying around, but we use a 1/2 inch. On the driver's side, you don't have to do that. So you see this plate here. I stole this plate. This plate here has a weld nut welded to it, just slides right in the hole. And then you just gotta put your sway bar bracket in there underneath. We put a little bit of blue Loctite on it. So we'll just get that started and torque down, and then we'll move on. Yeah, just tightening that guy up. So both brackets are on both sides. So we really skipped ahead. We had to two-man this sway bar to get it in, but we got it in. We got our bracket in, our adjusters on. One side's hooked up on the bottom, the other side's not hooked up. So we're gonna wait till we put it on the ground. And you can see we got our U-bolts on. We were careful to miss all the brake lines and the ABS. The other side's on also. Sway bar goes across. Hugo's just putting the tires on now. We're gonna set it on the ground. We're gonna tighten up the leaf springs. Then we're gonna adjust the rear roll bar. Make sure everything's good to go. Okay, so we got the truck on the ground now. Hugo's just tightening up all the leaf spring bolts because you wanna do this while the truck's on the ground. They have rubber bushings in there and you don't wanna preload them the wrong way while the truck's in the air. You wanna lock them down when the truck's at ride height. Also, we didn't hook up this sway bar end link because it's really important that you set this when the truck's on the ground. You wanna make sure that when you put the bolt in, it slides right in the hole. That's a big deal. You don't want to have these way out of adjustment and then it doesn't line up, and then you have to preload the sway bar and push it down and put it in. That's definitely not what you want to do. And you won't know that you're doing that if you do it up in the air. So it's really important that you put one side on and then you adjust the other side so that the bolt slips right in. Yeah, so Hugo's got one side done. I'm just going to adjust this sway bar end link so that the bolt slips right in. We're going to start in the middle, and then he has adjustment. If he wants to go stiffer or if he wants to go softer, he has that choice. He can go one way, go the other way, see what he likes, like pretty easy, and pick one. Obviously, the farther forward you go, the softer the bar is, the more leverage it has. The farther back you go, the stiffer the bar is. It's a little lesson for you. It's not a huge adjustment. I mean, the bar is already pretty long. So I don't know what every hole is maybe an inch. I don't know what an extra 2 inches is going to do. It'll do something, that's for sure. It's going in one direction or the other. But anyhow, we're just going to lock this jam nut down, lock these bolts down, tighten all the other bolts, do a nut and bolt check, make sure everything's tight. This truck's pretty much done. All right, Hugo. What do you think, bro? We haven't seen the truck yet. What do you think?
I think it looks awesome.
Worth all the time and the effort and the money?
Absolutely.
What was the hardest part, you'd say, on the install?
Probably installing the leaf springs. Other than that, everything's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, the flip kit. The flip kit was like kind of a lot of labor. Kind of took a long time. Definitely needed 2 guys in the back. Makes life a lot easier, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, just out of the box, like all the instructions, they're pretty good. Like all the parts were good. Everything bolted right on. No problem.
Pretty awesome. A lot of work, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. All right. So, let's check it out. So, where's your tape measure at? Here's the front.
It was 38 and an eighth.
38 and 1/8 in the front. So we just put it on at whatever the setting was on the coilover.
34 and a quarter.
34 and a quarter. Wow, almost 4 inches. So the front did have a
3 7/8
leveling kit on it. So we dropped the front 4 inches. The back was 38 and 5/8. And we're 35 and a half. So 3 inches in the back, right? Roughly?
3 and an eighth.
Yeah. So we are a little bit lower in the front, but right out of the box, she's looking tough, right?
Pretty awesome.
This thing's tough. Damn. Thing's a race truck. Should handle a lot better. This is, this kit says handling package. And it's a nice drop. Front end's adjustable, which is really nice. If you want to raise it or lower it, you don't have to take the whole front end apart and move spacers. It's a coilover setup in the front. And the back is what it is. But totally bitchin' kit. Hugo, you killed it, brother. Nice work. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for shopping Pit Supply Co.